out of the blue. Episode 10, The Gratitude Window. This is a story about Frances, a white dove who discovers that she does not have to wait for an ending before appreciating what was always precious. When she stops asking circumstances to choose her feeling for her, gratitude becomes a doorway she can enter now. Frances loved the old train station at the edge of town, not because she traveled often. She loved watching reunions. People ran toward one another. They laughed. They cried. They hugged as though they had suddenly remembered something important. One afternoon, Frances perched above Platform 3 as a family gathered around a departing train. "Call us. We'll miss you. Remember that summer at the lake? Thank you for everything." The train pulled away. Everyone stood waving until the final carriage disappeared. Frances tilted her head. Why do they say all the beautiful things when someone is leaving? A station keeper named Thomas was polishing the large windows. Endings have a way of making people notice what was there all along. Frances watched the empty track. "That seems inefficient." Thomas laughed. "It can be." Inside the station was an enormous window overlooking the valley. Across the top, someone had painted, "The Gratitude Window." Frances landed on the sill. "What does it do?" "Nothing. That's disappointing." "It's a window." Frances gave him a look. Thomas continued polishing. "But people stand here when something ends. A journey, a friendship, a season, sometimes a life chapter. They look back and suddenly remember the love." Frances gazed through the glass. Couldn't they remember it before the ending? Excellent question. That evening, Frances began thinking about her own days. A storm had ruined yesterday's flight. A crow had insulted her singing. Someone had eaten the seeds she was saving. Her favorite branch had broken. She could feel irritation building. This has been a terrible week. Then she imagined the week ending forever. Immediately, different memories appeared. Warm sunrise, a child laughing when Frances landed beside her, rain sparkling on blue flowers, a stranger sharing crumbs, a quiet evening under the moon. Frances blinked. "The week didn't change," Thomas smiled, "only the thoughts you selected." The next morning, Frances tested this. She landed near a crowded cafe. A waiter dropped a spoon. A baby cried. Someone bumped a chair. Frances felt herself tense. Then she asked, "What feeling do I want to carry through this moment?" Not, "How do I make everyone quiet?" Not, "Who caused this?" Not, "Why is today difficult?" She chose gratitude. Immediately, she noticed steam rising from a cup. Sunlight crossing the table. Two friends laughing. A woman holding the door for a stranger. Nothing outside had changed. Yet the moment had. Later, Frances overheard two pigeons arguing. One said, "You always do this." The other replied, "Because you never listen." Frances felt herself preparing to choose sides. Then she remembered the window. She could entertain the thoughts that made conflict heavier. Or she could hold another thought. What is here besides the grievance? She noticed both pigeons had remained there instead of flying away. Underneath their anger was a desire to be understood. Frances softened. She did not fix their argument. She simply stopped turning it into proof that something had gone wrong. That afternoon, she returned to Thomas. "I thought choosing a feeling meant pretending bad things feel good." "No." Or denying pain. "No." Or painting rainbows over everything. Thomas smiled. "You do seem fond of rainbows." Frances laughed. "What is it then?" "You cannot always choose what appears, but you can become aware of what you keep feeding afterward." Frances looked through the window. That felt honest. A painful moment could be painful. Loss could feel like loss. But she did not have to build an identity from every passing experience. She did not have to rehearse the worst thought available. She did not have to call herself a victim of the day. Responsibility did not mean blame. It meant choice had returned. Near sunset, another train arrived. This time, nobody was leaving. A woman stepped onto the platform carrying groceries. A tired worker sat on a bench. A child dragged a red suitcase. Nothing dramatic happened. Frances suddenly wanted to laugh. "Look at them." Thomas glanced over. "What? They're still here." The woman, the worker, the child, the station keeper, the ordinary moment. Why wait until goodbye to see what mattered? Frances flew down. She landed beside the worker. He smiled. "Hello, little dove." She hopped toward the child. The child giggled. She perched near Thomas while he finished cleaning the window. "Good day?" he asked. Frances looked around. It had contained noise, disappointment, beauty, annoyance, kindness. Nothing had become perfect. Yet she no longer needed perfection to choose what she wanted to carry. Happy day, she decided. Thomas smiled. Frances lifted toward the evening sky. She could not rewrite yesterday. She could not control tomorrow. But this moment still offered a choice: grievance or gratitude, defense or openness, a story of what was missing or recognition of what was here. Frances chose the feeling that opened the way. She chose gratitude. She chose a happy day. Out of the blue, may we sing, rest, and dance our way home together.